25 years and my life is still trying to get up that great big hill of hope for a destination. I realized quickly when I knew I should that world was made up of this brotherhood of man, for whatever that means. And so I cry sometimes when I'm lying in bed, just to get it all out what's in my head. And I'm feeling a little peculiar. So I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream from the top of my lungs, what's going on? And I say, hey, yeah, 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 hey, yeah, yeah. I said, hey, what's going on? I say, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, hey. I said, hey, what's going on? Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we are checking out What's Up by the Four Non-Blondes, written of course by the incredible Linda Perry. Now we're going to start off by looking at a kind of easy beginner version which just uses the chords G, A minor and C and uses a capo at the 2nd fret. I'm fairly sure on the original recording it was played using some bar chords. I'm going to show you that and some other details a little later in the video. Now, if you haven't checked it out before, do go and have a look at the JustinGuitar Lessons and Songs app, where there's a karaoke play-along version of this very song, as well as all of my beginner lessons. Loads of other tools in it as well. It's got a tuner, chord library, strumming assistant to help you with all your strumming stuff, practice routines, shows you exactly what to practice and for how long, all of that stuff, and over 1,000 guitar play-along tracks which are specifically designed for beginners. You can search by the chords that you know, or the bands that you like, or the styles that you do, or where you're at in my courses, all of that stuff. It really is a super valuable tool for anyone learning to play guitar, so do go and check it out. There'll be links in the description below. But let's get now into learning this tune. Let's start off by going through the chords that we need. The first one is G. I favour this one with my 3rd and 4th finger. So 3rd finger playing the 3rd fret of the thicker string, muting the 5th string, 3 open strings, a little finger going down on the thinner string 3rd fret, or really 3 frets above the capo. When I say 3 frets is what I mean. Now you could choose to use 2nd and 3rd fingers for that. I think that's also a very valid way of playing G. Maybe some of you have learned it there with the 1st finger down as well in the 2nd fret of the 5th string. You can use that. I don't think it sounds as good, and it's easier not to have it, so I reckon don't use it. But if you're used to playing G that way and that's the way that you want to do it, that's totally cool. Maybe you've learned the rock G where you use 3rd and 4th fingers on the thinnest 2 strings. That one works as well. Really doesn't matter, to be honest. Any of the G's is going to sound good. That's first chord. Second one is an A minor. There's not really any fingering variations. You could use those fingers, but I wouldn't see the point of that. One thing you might like to think about is getting the thumb over to mute the thicker string. But if you're a beginner and you're really new to all of this stuff, don't be worrying about doing that. Get the thumb around the back of the neck. It's what I always recommend for beginners. Helps build up that muscle there between your thumb and your 1st finger, which will help you play bar chords later on. That's why I recommend it. But you will see, usually I'll have my thumb floating around over the top to mute the thicker string on a chord like an A minor chord. Then you got a C chord. Now, to get to your C chord, remember you only have to move your 3rd finger. So don't worry about like lifting them all off and putting them all down again. From the A minor, just your 3rd finger needs to go up to the 3rd fret on the 5th string. You'll probably see that the 2nd finger slides forward a little bit as well. Remember, the fingers want to be nice and close to the fret, just behind the fret, but not on it. That way you can press pretty softly and still get a very clear note. Okay, as well with the C chord, you want to mute that thicker string, probably with the tip of your 3rd finger there to mute the thicker string. So that's how to play the chords. It is literally a bar on G, a bar on A minor, a bar on C, and then back to a bar on G. If you're new to this guitar stuff, you might want to start with just doing 4 strums to the bar, keeping it real simple and trying to work on the chord changes so you don't have pauses between the chords, because that's not a good habit to get into. Again, if you're using my app and you're using play-alongs, the play-alongs don't stop between the chord changes, so it forces you to get used to this idea of making the chord changes fast enough and keeping the rhythm. It's a mistake a lot of people make when they're not doing a play along track kind of practice. When they're playing by themselves, they'll go G, 2, 3, 4, and then they'll stop and they'll get the fingers for the A minor. Okay, and then they'll strum again. And if you have to do that right at the beginning, it's okay, because you're just learning the chords. But as soon as you can, you want to try and get this strumming nice and even. So G, 2, 3, 4 to A minor, 2, 3, 4 to C, 2, 3, 4, and then back to G, 2, 3, 4. So that's your first step. Just make sure that you can get those chord changes without having to stop in between. Don't worry about strumming patterns or any of that stuff yet. It's really, really important that you can do that before you go trying to add any fancy strumming in. Make sure you can get the chord changes smoothly. As soon as you can do that, you're ready to play along with the app, which is loads of fun. If the app's a little bit fast, remember you can slow it down as well. It's a really useful tool to be able to just slow it down 10%, 20%, make it playable, and then gradually work your way up to tempo, particularly if you're working on the strumming pattern. The authentic strumming pattern is a little bit more complicated, so it is the kind of thing where you might want to slow it down. Now, if you're doing your own version, you don't have to do the strumming pattern exactly on the record. You could explore any of the strumming patterns you know. Something like Old Faithful, which is this down, down, up, up, down. Very, very common chord progression. Most of you will be familiar with that. So if you want to apply that strumming pattern to it, that works as well, okay? I'm going to teach you the authentic pattern in a second, but it's a good starting point to just have down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, down. And if you're going to sing, you remember that you've got to get the pattern automated. So you'll probably find that a pattern like this is a bit easier to automate than the other one, than the authentic one. 25 years and then life is still a minoring to get up that great big hill of C for a Desta G chord. Again, that's a super way of getting into it. If you're going to sing, remember that your strumming and your chord changes more or less have to be automated, because you're going to be thinking about your singing. Or most people are. Really amazing singers, I suppose, might be singing on autopilot and working on the guitar, but doing two things at the same time, very difficult. So try and practice stuff up until it's feeling fairly automated. Now, if we start talking about the authentic strumming pattern now, remember I'm going to talk a bit about the authentic chords in a second. You don't need to play it that way if you don't want. Not a big deal. As long as you can play the song and you're feeling the music and interpreting it and, getting into the music, it doesn't really matter. But the authentic strumming pattern, there's kind of a general one, and the strumming pattern used in the very first bar of the song is slightly different. So I'm going to teach you the general one first, which is this. Down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's the pattern. It's a little bit easier if you're thinking the count. The count is 16th notes, so some of you might not be familiar with this. If you're doing my beginner course, we don't cover 16th note patterns until kind of later grade 3 in my module series. But the pattern will be 1 and a 2 and a 3 E and up, 4 E and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 E and up, 4 E and a down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, miss, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, for most people, the tricky part there is going to be missing the down on beat 4. That you're going to move your hand down and then go up, down, up afterwards. Let's put that on the G chord. So 3, 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and up, miss, up, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, miss, up, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, miss, up, down, up, 1 and a 2 and a 3 E and up, 4 E and up. I think a really great way of practicing these patterns is doing it without the chords, okay? Because as soon as you play the chord, your ear kind of gets distracted by that, where if you do a mute, like just leave all your fingers resting on the strings, you get this muted sound. You're a little bit more focused on the rhythm to just sing 1 and a 2 and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. You notice that my hand is moving continuously, even though while it's doing the pattern, there's no pauses. It's not going. There's none of this stuff. You want to really try and get the arm feeling like a pendulum. It's not a hard pattern. You could think of it in terms of like a 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. It's the same pattern. I'm just changing the count. The count is technically a 16th note feel, but you could definitely think in terms of that if you're worried about the 16th note count, just to think 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and miss, up, down, up. Okay, that's the key thing, is the missing the beat on beat 4. That variation that happens right at the very beginning, the very first strumming pattern, which is very exposed, is down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. So you're basically on beat 3, you're just missing out the up strum after beat 3, the very first one. Down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Otherwise it's identical, and then we're into that other pattern for pretty much all of the song, at least as far as I can tell. It's just that very first one's very exposed. So down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, then you're into the regular down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, so take some time to work on that strumming pattern and then have a go at playing it with the app again. So you're playing it in time. There's no good going like getting the groove on and going down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Don't do that. Really, really terribly bad habit. It's teaching you that the rhythm's not the key thing. Rhythm is really important. Even if the chords go a little bit fluffy or a little bit late on getting the chord change done, keep the rhythm going. It will always sound better. Really important, and especially as well with a song like this, something else just to be aware of, especially if you're playing on your own, is thinking a little bit about dynamics. So when you're playing loud and when you're playing soft. Say in the verses, you probably want to be bringing it down a little bit so that you're keeping it a little bit quiet. You can hear the words that are going on. Then when it gets into the hey, 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 when you want people to sing along, try and play it a little bit louder. It'll encourage anyone who's at your campfire at your house having a sing along. It'll encourage them to sing. So let's just talk a little bit about what I think the authentic one is, because it's using some open strings, particularly you notice at the beginning. So I think, and this is just my best guess, the first chord is an A bar chord, the second chord is a B minor bar chord, and then it's going to a regular D, an open one, to an A. I think it's an A, I'd guess it's with the bar because the thinner string is muted, I think. So you get this, the chords. But there's another bit, if you want to get really super authentic, and if you're a beginner, don't be trying to do this stuff, trying to do the bar chords and all of these fancy things. This is for people who are getting a little bit more into it, who are into their transcribe and working stuff out, because it's a little bit different, because there's a lot of open strings being strummed in between the chords. Okay, the last 3 16th notes, the up, down, up, each time are open strings kind of transitioning between the chords. It's a very difficult thing to do it just accurately like the record, but the general idea, so we got that pattern, we got the A bar chord, and we're going to go down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. I mean, kind of exaggerating. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So it kind of helps because you're doing the bar chords, you've got this long time of transitions. It's not quite as bold as that. They're kind of like half muted a bit and then the open strings are ringing out. Trying to get to that level of subtlety, I'll leave for somebody playing in a covers band of the song. But it's just something to be aware of. A lot of beginners are worried about this playing the open strings between the chords, but it happens on most records, particularly fast records. Because remember that, to make a transition from one chord to another, there's going to be a little gap. And if you hit the open strings, as long as you keep the rhythm steady, it'll sound good. Again, this is that whole ideal of making sure that the strumming hand moves continuously and you keep yourself locked into the groove. If you're a little bit late getting to the chord or there's some open strings during the transition between chords, it is not a big deal. Again, best way to sort that out is using a play-along track, and you'll find hundreds, thousands, or more than 1,000, might even be thousands by the time you watch this, on my app. So do go and check it out if you haven't seen it before. I really hope you enjoy this tune. Loads more lessons on the website, of course, as well. So you might want to go and check that out too. I'll see you for plenty more very soon. Have yourself a fantastic day. Bye-bye.